What up, guys? It's Pete here, and I got another episode of Pete's Points and Miles. And this morning, Chase dropped a bombshell announcement where they unveiled a new credit card called, wait for it, the Chase Freedom Flex. Woo! I'm gonna rip my shirt out here. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to be going over the key benefits of this card, and I'm going to be giving my personal first impressions on it, because this card is more complicated than we think it is. Now, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video too. Now, let's get started. The Flex card comes out on September 14th of this year, and carries no annual fee at all, which is pretty awesome. And the only downside of this card is it's not really a flex, because the card is still plastic. If you wanted it to be a flex, it would have to be metal. So you're not flexing, boys. Come on. What I really like about this card is the welcome bonus. It's the same as the Chase Freedom Unlimited, where you get $200 cash back after spending $500 within the first 3 months. And on top of that, you get 5% cash back at grocery stores for the first year. Notice how it's not a permanent perk. Now, the other amazing thing about this card is the spending multipliers, and this is the most appealing. You get 5% cash back in rotating categories every single quarter. You get 5% cash back when you spend on travel in the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. And now that's very controversial. We'll get into it in a second. But you get 5% cash back on Lyft rides throughout 2022. You get 3% cash back on dining within the US, including takeout and delivery. Now, you also get 3% cash back at drugstores and 1% cash back on everything else. That's a lot of cash back multipliers. Like, I'm going crazy over here. Anyways, that's a lot of different perks to it. Now let's get into the actual benefits of the card. This card is loaded with benefits, including you get 3 months of DoorDash Dash Pass, which basically means you get free delivery. And now, although that may sound enticing, the price of food is drastically inflated on these apps, and all of the proceeds don't go to the small business owners, but that's a story for another day. And now, because this card is a MasterCard Elite, this gives you cell phone protections. So if your phone is lost, damaged, or stolen, you get $800 per claim or $1,000 per year. And that's a great benefit, and it's highly overlooked. One of Chase's signature perks is that you get travel insurance, a basic travel insurance that covers trip interruption, trip cancellation, and that covers up to $1,500 per person or $6,000 per trip. And that's a very overlooked benefit, but it's nice to have when you need it. Now, what you're probably asking yourself is, should I get the Freedom Flex? And the short answer, yes, absolutely. This card is going to be an absolute powerhouse. If you combine everyday spending with travel and Lyft, this card is just unstoppable. And the best part about it is if you combine it with the Chase ecosystem and the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you get a 50% increase in the value of your points if you redeem it in the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. So if we think about this logically, that 5% category bonus turns into 7.5%. That's crazy! And this card is overpowered even against the CSR. Now let me explain. The CSR has a $550 annual fee, and the Freedom Flex has a $0 annual fee, but the Sapphire Reserve only gets 3% back when you spend on travel in the portal. But the Freedom Flex gets 5%. That just doesn't make sense. For a card that is the best in traveling, they're beat out by a no annual fee card by their own company. That doesn't make sense. And this alludes to two things. The first, Chase is going to buff up all of the cards in their ecosystem. And that makes sense. They're going to buff up the Sapphire Preferred and the Reserve to match the Freedom Flex. And the second explanation is the more business-focused one. It seems like Chase is looking to migrate more people onto their Ultimate Rewards platform. And that's kind of like trying to cast a wide net over all of those consumers that lost their loyalty to Expedia, Hotels.com, Trivago, and they're saying, hey, we got this flashy new credit card, and we're giving 5% cash back if you try our portal. And a lot of consumers, when they're ready to travel, are going to say, hey, I don't have any loyalty to Expedia. I'm going to try the Ultimate Rewards portal because my credit card gives me 5% back. Wow. And that's going to pull in a lot of people to their platform just through the credit card. So, smart business on Chase. And the other smart business, which kind of sucks for consumers, is that there is an ironic 3% foreign transaction fee. For a card that is all about that 5% travel, they're charging 3% on a foreign transaction fee. And what this really does is get those poor, unsuspecting bastards that want to go over the border to Canada for a weekend to go gambling, and they come back with hundreds and hundreds of dollars of foreign transaction fees. That's what it seems like to me. And, from the consumer perspective, there's a huge disconnect right there. And it doesn't make sense to me. But overall, I think that this card is appealing to a different demographic that just does everyday spending. And then on the other hand, they say, hey, I want to do a domestic trip once in a while. But it's not to the seasoned traveler that is on the road most of the year. Someone like me, it's not appealing to me that much unless I'm in the United States spending on groceries, dining, Lyft, all of those different categories. Overall, my first impression of this card is that it has a bundle of perks. It has a great spending multipliers, a wonderful sign-up bonus. It's very enticing, and it's appealing to a new demographic. So, Chase, good on you. I'm going to be one of the first people applying for the card on September 14th, if I'm within the 524 rule, cough, cough. But anyways, if you enjoyed this first impressions kind of analysis video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to make more in-depth videos on these cards in the future, so stay tuned. I'm very excited. Pete, signing off.